Tired of feeling trapped in thinking that has you going around and around in circles about your diet and weight? Our thinking about weight, our expectations and beliefs that are given to us by our family, our culture, and the diet industry create a literal trap that we get stuck in, and it feels like it's impossible to escape from. So today, I want to take a look at what kind of thinking, the real long game thinking about yourself and weight loss, that can really set you free and start you on a more productive path towards health and long-term permanent weight success. So let's get started. Did you know that our struggle with weight doesn't start with the food on your plate or get fixed in the gym? 80% of our weight struggle is mental. That's right. The key to unlocking long-term weight release and management begins in your mind. Hi there, I'm Rita Black. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, weight loss expert, best-selling author, and the creator of the Shift Weight Mastery process. And not only have I helped thousands of people over the past 20 years achieve long-term weight mastery, I am also a former weight struggler, carb addict, and binge eater. And after 2 decades of failed diets and fad weight loss programs, I lost 40 pounds with the help of hypnosis. Not only did I release all that weight, I have kept it off for 25 years. Enter the Thin Thinking podcast, where you too will learn how to remove the mental roadblocks that keep you struggling. I'll give you the thin thinking tools, skills, and insights to help you develop the mindset you need, not only to achieve your ideal weight, but to stay there long term and live your best life. Sound good? Let's get started. Hello, everybody. I hope you are enjoying the spring wherever you are. I know in some places it's probably warmer than others right now, but let's just all take a nice deep spring air breath in and just settle into spring together. So my son is in the middle of his spring break right now, but we aren't going anywhere. Oh, he has all these AP tests that he's just studying for. Gosh, I feel so sorry for him. I mean, kids in testing these days, I have to say, it's a completely different ball game than, when I was growing up, maybe when you were growing up too, if you have kids or no kids or have grandkids. I mean, gosh, I remember rolling into my SAT test, and my mom was like, "Get up, it's the SATs." I was like, "Huh?" I had to grab a number 2 pencil. I had to go down to the University of Washington. That's where they were holding the SATs. I was literally like, "What's going on? What test am I taking?" And I don't know if I did. I don't even remember what score I got, but nowadays, like, kids are like all over their scores and their grades. And I mean, even to get into an okay university, you have got to be able to do backflips. And I have done, a zillion hours of community service, started a nonprofit. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then once they accept you, you have to pay them so much money. It is just redonkulous. Okay. So, I mean, sorry, I don't mean to get on my little soapbox, but I guess I did. Anyway, you can tell I'm a mother in my second round of kids, getting ready to fly the coop. And I'm so glad this is the last round. And yet so tragically, awaiting the sadness that will come. So anyway, so speaking about kids, I do swear to you that this has to do with today's topic. I had the honor of coaching for a few weeks or probably a month, one of my best friends from college, daughter, and she is out of college now, and she's at that age where I mean, like, I look at my son and I think that's tough, but the toughest year of anybody's life, if they went to college, I think is the year they get out of college. It's just such a come down, especially if you're not going to graduate school or going on, or you don't have like a job immediately lined up. I mean, I remember being 22, fresh out of college and feeling like the biggest loser in the world. There were so many choices. There's just too many choices at that time. Like, where could I do? What can I be? Who am I going to be? Unless you really dial down. And she's kind of my friend's daughter was right there. It's just like, what am I going to do? Who am I going to be? And she was really kind of imploding. We kids, again, like I said, their expectations on themselves are huge, and I think colleges really set them up too to really expect like you're going to get out of here and you're going to be so amazing and it's all going to be great and you're going to have your career and your path and your dream and it's all going to come true for you. And you get out and you're like, I got to get a job, and nobody wants to hire you. And you get a job at like like a measly salary, doing something that is completely not what you want to be doing. And it makes you feel bad about yourself. And I think we go about setting kids up and our expectations of what life should look like and what you should be and all of that, it just gets so overwhelming. So one of the things I helped her with, and this is again to the point of today, because this is kind of what we're going to be doing, is like really looking at what a true journey of, finding your career and shifting the expectations so that it isn't like you have to be amazing right now and you have to have the right job right now and be making lots of money, that there's a natural progression to discovering yourself, who you are. And part of that progression really includes trial and error, figuring out who you are. And that takes maybe some pain and self-acceptance, not unlike the weight mastery journey, I have to say. And but the interesting thing is, because I work with so many people, and which is the joy of my life, because I just get to meet so many different people who are lawyers and doctors and bus drivers and surfers and Olympic athletes and like just all the whole gamut of human beings. I just love what I do because I love people and I love helping people. And anyway, enough about me. The point I'm trying to make is I have seen people who left school and had the perfect trajectory. They went to medical school or to law school, or, they had a lot of expectations and they lived up to them and it all looked good for them. And they got to their 30s and they crashed. They were like, who am I? Where am I? What am I? So, and again, I compare it to that weight journey where you get on the diet and you do really well and then you get to your ideal weight and go, but I don't know who I am, or, I don't know how to sustain this weight. And so I kind of said to my friend's daughter, I said, you're kind of lucky, even though this is really painful for you right now, you're doing all the footwork now that some of your friends who seem to have the awesome jobs. And again, I know this because I was a 22-year-old kid thinking I was the biggest loser. And then all of my friends who had the job, it's on Wall Street, or, they went to graduate school, they ended up having to go through this very same process just later. So I said, you're kind of lucky. It's painful and it's frustrating, but you're kind of you're internalizing and really figuring out who you are now. And it doesn't have to look perfect, and you just put one foot in front of the other. So we spent a lot of time thinking about where she wanted to be a few years from now, but really getting clear on like there's a path there. She doesn't have to be there now. So hopefully that was helpful for her. I know she ended up getting her foot in the door somewhere, kind of exciting. But again, it was an apprenticeship, and that's kind of perfect for where she needs to be. Anyway, so I think you kind of can gather where I'm going with all of this. And I just wanted to say before, we get into today that this week I am opening up in the doors to free Masterclass that you're more than welcome to come. It's going to be on April 21st, but please, the link is in show notes. And what it's about really is about it's called How to Stop the Start Over Tomorrow Weight Struggle Cycle and Begin Releasing Weight for Good. Because as I'm going to get into today, a lot of our thinking is stuck in a cycle and, being good, being bad, being good, being bad, self-correcting, being good, being bad, like we end up in this box. We're going around in circles over and over again, right? So the masterclass is really designed to get you clear in many ways. We're going to look at the 3 major weight loss mistakes that most people make. And these are really cognitive mistakes. They're thinking mistakes. We're going to really look at the 3 shifts that you can make to remove that subconscious resistance and the roadblocks and start releasing weight for good. And then I'm going to walk you through a proven 4-part shift process that has helped thousands of people lose weight long term by using mind power over willpower, which we all know does not work. So we will also be doing some hypnosis in this masterclass. So I hope you join me. It's going to be super fun. And one thing you do need to know, full disclosure, it's limited. Like seating is limited because my webinar, my service only lets me so many seats in this masterclass. So there's 2 masterclasses on April 21st, one at 9 a.m. Pacific time and one at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So please, if you are listening to this prior to April 21st, 2022, please go sign up and join me. Okay, so now let's talk about the long game mindset. I have been noticing an epidemic of smart people, because the people who are attracted to, my clients, people in my communities, my students, are usually smart people who are very, self-aware, but caught up in a mindset that just isn't working. It's this short-term weight loss mindset that really is not their fault, right? It has been given to them by their family, their culture, the media, our friends. I mean, we are immersed in a weight loss culture that has really cognitive distortion and negative thinking and really makes us feel bad about ourselves and trains us to permanently feel bad about ourselves. It really kind of feeds on that. So, and there's a mythology. It's like, be good on a diet, you're going to lose the weight, and then you're going to live happily ever after. Not a problem, right? So we get really stuck in this short-term focus, and, it's incredibly damaging and painful. And, and it's short term. Most diets are offering you a relief, right? They're offering you a relief from the pain of feeling overweight, or they're offering you a relief from the pain of feeling chaotic and unstructured. And they're saying this is quick because, and we aren't dummies. We aren't like, oh, it's quick. But because we're in pain, our brain doesn't think, this is short term, so this really doesn't mean, like if I lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks, what's going to happen on week 3? We're not thinking there. We're just thinking, great, I can feel lighter and lose some weight, get this weight off me that makes me feel horrible about myself in a short term. All I have to drink is this drink, or all I have to do is cut this macronutrient group out of my diet. I'm all in, right? And we can do it. We can go at it really with a focus for a short term. Okay. So that's, first of all, we go at it not because we're stupid, but because, or we go after these short-term things because it's so painful the way we feel about ourselves when we're overweight. We don't like ourselves. We have a lot of distrust in ourselves. So diets or weight loss regimes or all these quick fixes offer an escape to our brain, and our dopamine center in our brain, our reward center, is like, yes, I want that. It's like almost it's an addiction. All right. So secondly, obviously it's self-defeating, because when we're focused outside of ourselves on a diet, on a plan, it may seem rational at the time, but the problem is when you're focused on like do it this way, and you only can do it this way. You can't do it any other way. It has to be done this way, which a lot of diets are, like eat this, eat that, but don't eat this, eat this much, blah, blah, blah. the lure of that is that we are really uh, saying, I need to be controlled, because I'm chaotic internally. I can't trust myself, but I can trust something outside of me or a guru outside of me or some sort of structure. So let me do that. Um, and and again, momentarily we get a relief from the self distrust and the self hatred because we're now committed to something, and that can make us feel sort of like a kind of a false sense of confidence. And then there is the third thing, which is, the lure of you're going to go on this, you're going to lose the weight, and then life is going to be perfect. You're finally going to have, it all. It's going to be good. And then you can focus on other things. And again, that the idea that that we're going to find this magic cure that is going to, take away the fact, our thinking about food, having to manage food, thinking about exercise and all of that stuff. The idea that there's something out there that's going to remove all of that from our life so we finally don't have to think about food anymore and don't have to think about exercise. That is actually, again, a false advertisement because even thin people, and I work with a lot of thin people, and I ask them all the time, how do you manage your weight? And they say, yes. I said, did you ever struggle with your weight? No, I just know that, I can't eat certain foods or I'm going to gain weight, so the idea that, that we live in a world full of food. We live in bodies that, like full of food that our bodies were not designed to be eating, and again, I'm not going down that road of like, we got to go back to our ancestors and eat the way they do. I'm just saying our bodies weren't designed to eat all this food, to have it all around us, and our brains weren't designed to be stimulated by this food all day long, right? So people, even thin people, have had to adapt an internal structure for themselves of managing this world of food so that they can maintain their weight. You got it? So, or I'm not talking about like, so the whole weight loss industry is built on, I don't want to say lies, and I'm not, it's like it's developed in this way that really takes us down a wrong path. And look, we are never going to be perfect, and life is never going to line up for us to do good on a diet 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Look at how many, there's a holiday in every month. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be some reason to go off your diet. There's always going to be some interruption. There's always going to be, so we got to get real. Really real. Real. Okay. So, and I apologize. That this is, the way it is, but I think like the 22-year-old, it's like, once you kind of can have acceptance about like, you aren't going to get that $150,000 job right off the bat, and it's, people aren't going to be paying you to, do all those fun and super creative things that you did in college, but you're going to have like a low-paying job and you're going to be doing really menial labor in the beginning, but the sooner you accept and go, okay, I'm here, like that. And I don't mean that that's what you're going to have to do, but I'm just saying there's a certain freedom in going, okay, let me start from a real place. Let me start from something real with myself, and begin something that I'm creating for me. So because the alternative is to continue to stay stuck in this looking outside of yourself, finding the next quick fix, doing good on it for a little bit, falling off it, getting off track, eating more, going back, and then, gaining weight, feeling horrible about yourself, feeling like over and over and over again. And over and over and over again. And I say this because, like my mother never, ever like escaped that cycle. To me, that is a tragedy, before she passed and went on to hopefully bigger and better things. But, um, and I see it all the time. I see, clients who have been stuck in this struggle for decades. And so we really need to come back to ourselves. And we really need to start to look at ourselves as the answer, not as a problem. So I really came to this conclusion one day, and if those of you who don't know my story, you'll, come to the masterclass, you'll hear it in a little more depth. But, like I kind of hit my wall. And after dieting for 20 years and yo-yoing up and down the scale, 40 pounds, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't diet anymore. I really have to come at this from a different way because I cannot live life anymore like this. Like my life was in ruins. So in that moment, I really made a decision, not going to do that anymore, and I'm going to do something different. And something that helped me a lot at the time was this idea of the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is a Joseph Campbell's concept, I believe. I'm not a super duper anthropology expert, but my husband works, he doesn't work in the movies anymore, but at the time he was working in the movies. And in the movies in Hollywood, a lot of screenplays, well, every screenplay really follows what you would call the story of the hero's journey. Most screenplays, not every single one, but most of those action movies and most of those, the structure of a movie is, most heroes in a movie are reluctant. They don't want to go on whatever, in the beginning, it's, the guy, he's like the village wants him to go and slay the monster. And he's like, no, not me. I'm not the guy who can do that. And you guys do that. No, not me, not me. And then, finally, he's called into action, or she's called into action by a vision or a need bigger than themselves. But usually it's a vision that pulls them forth, and not a vision, but just like something bigger than them. They need to save somebody. They need to save their village or whatever. They get out of their own ego and they, move forward. So, and then the hero's journey continues. So once the reluctant hero steps in and begins the journey, the journey is a series of obstacles, right? The hero then has to confront all these obstacles. Each obstacle that the hero has to struggle with and find a solution for actually makes the hero stronger. Now, many, many times the hero wants to turn back. I can't do this. It's too hard. Or he gets hurt or whatever. There's many times, or times she has, oh my God, one more thing. Are you kidding me? You guys have all watched the movies. You know what it's like. And then there's always that scene towards the end, the climax of the film, where the hero has to slay the dragon, and she, has to pull together, and the dragon really is representative of the biggest protagonist, the antagonist, the dark force, the hero's antithesis, and coming at them again and again and again. It's not like they slay them in one stab. It's like they keeps coming back and keeps coming back. But finally, the hero perseveres and slays the dragon. They come home and they're, to the end of the movie, and they're transformed, right? They are not who they were when they began the journey. So I was thinking about my weight. And I was like, I get it. A weight journey is a hero's journey. And the point of the journey isn't about being good or perfect. The point of the journey is finding the solutions and believing in yourself and building yourself as you go along. And slaying the dragon. And I know that I'm speaking in metaphors for a moment, but the reason why I say this is because most people stop at the first obstacle, right? Like you'll start a diet And then Friday night, pizza time comes out and there's the first obstacle because life is going to be full of pizza. You know what I mean? It's not like you go on a diet and pizza evaporates. Pizza's in your life, and if you're managing your weight, you need to learn to manage pizza on a Friday night. And that might mean eating pizza on a Friday night, but figuring that out for yourself, right? So, but most of us get to points in the journey where we want to turn around and go back, and we do. We go back to the beginning because it doesn't look perfect. And the reason for that, a lot of times, isn't that it's too hard, but we don't like looking bad to ourselves. And because there's a lot of self-shame within ourselves, because one of our biggest dragons within us is our inner critic. That's always there to say, you blew it, you didn't do it right, this is going too hard, this plateau is going on too long, you're blowing it somehow because it's not working for you, right? And then there's also that other dragon. It's kind of a twin-headed dragon of the rebel within us, right? And that rebel is, really there ready to say, oh, yeah, this diet sucks. Let's just start again Monday. Everybody else is eating. Why can't we? So there's this powerful force, talk about obstacles that is always there as we're going. So I want to just kind of go through the hero's journey as a weight master, just briefly to give you a flavor of, really where I feel like we want to start from. Now, reluctant hero. Let's talk about the reluctant hero. So, I get why diets do so well because, in really a weight loss journey, like I said, like a long-term permanent journey is not about, like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in a month. And it's really about like, I am ready to take ownership of myself. I am ready to step forward and stretch myself past where I've been stretched before, have been stretched before. And I'm willing to go through something because where I am now is so painful. And because I also see something better for myself, right? The crazy thing is, I don't know where I learned this, but they did a poll and like 80% of people really live their lives not from like, if you ask them like, where do you want to be 5 years from now? Most people don't know. Like, what do you see yourself doing next year? Most people don't know. We know where we don't want to be. We know where we don't want to happen to us, but we really don't create our future and live our life like we're living into it, right? And so the reluctant hero, it is painful being overweight, but it's also familiar and is comfy, on a certain level. And the idea of, to our dieting mind, going on a weight journey, like a long-term journey, it might seem scary. It might seem fearful, like, I have to change, really? And not only ourselves, but we don't want to be feel deprived because that's the diet mind thinks of deprivation when we think of weight management. It doesn't think of transformation. It doesn't think of self-fulfillment and nourishment and sustaining ourselves in a powerful way. It thinks of, I'm going to have to eat less. I'm going to have to exercise more. And that seems really hard to me. And we also, and this is kind of crazy, but I'm going to be honest with you, is that we might have to shift our relationships with the other people in our lives. And that is incredibly scary, because we're comfy with the people in our lives, even though they might be, the source of some of our weight. So we have to be powerful. And I get it. That's why we're reluctant. It's not just because we're, don't have willpower. It's really not that. I mean, people who struggle with their weight have tons of willpower. I mean, like some of the most disciplined people I know are people who struggle with their weight. So, I don't think that that's it. There's just a lot more to it. So when we're sitting in this place of, being reluctant, uh, I get it. But what you want to start to do is think about, and this is what I did for myself, was I was like, the me here, 40 pounds above where I want to be. Okay, that's me now. Unhappy, overweight, things aren't really working out well for me. And the me 40 pounds down the scale, okay, there's some things going on there too. Like I'm 40 pounds lighter, but I'm also who I need to be to sustain my life 40 pounds lighter is going to be think differently, behave differently, and probably have shifted relationships with the people that I have in my life because, we set, we teach people how to treat us, right? And so, um, that to me, I was like, I kind of gulped, gulp, and I was like, okay, I'm committing to this, just like the reluctant heroes, like they're like, okay, I'm going to do this. But I stepped forward and I was excited because I was so ready for transformation. And I, you know, sat down with myself and I kind of had to love myself in the moment and say, okay, I believe in me. I believe I can do this, even though it's uncomfortable. The comfort from the, painful and frustrating familiar weight, I don't want that anymore. I want something new. I'm willing to stretch. I'm willing to be in something unfamiliar. And I'm also willing not to be perfect. I'm willing to be a student. I'm willing to be a learner because that's what an apprentice is, right? Just like my friend's daughter got that job as an apprentice. It's like an apprentices, the good news is you get to make mistakes. You get to make mistakes almost immediately. So I started to see myself differently and I started to treat myself differently and I started to feed myself differently and exercise and, use hypnosis and all those things. But the thing I want you to understand is that I've been doing this for 25 years, you guys, and I'm still on my long-term permanent weight mastery journey. So there are many, 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 many phases to a weight mastery journey. And yes, there is a certain point I think where you slay your dragons to a certain degree, to the most degree, and in your journey of down the scale. But maintenance, you start another journey. And so I want to inspire you about this because in being that hero, in really going through what I call struggle points, which are all the points that you probably have gone on before, like when you've gone on a diet where you've stopped and got off track, were probably your struggle points. And our struggle points, like we gain weight in the same places in the same time with the same foods for the most part, right? And we keep banging our heads against the wall thinking somehow it's going to change this time and it's going to be different. No, it's not. But we've got to figure these out. But the good news is once you get it, you can do it. And when you do it, you're like, damn, I solved that problem. And that is the joy I have in seeing my clients and students go through and go, that has been bugging me for years and I slayed that dragon. Woohoo! I own that. And that, my friend, is some taste of like better than any cake, better than any, potato chip. Like, oh my God, that is as good as it gets. When you go through a struggle point and you put it to sleep and you move forward, like people figuring out night eating and putting that to rest, and people managing their stress or emotional eating, start to manage their emotions without food. People learning to socialize and having a really good time at restaurants and parties without overeating or overdrinking, and taking ownership for that, because these are the things that take us off track again and again and again. So when you start to look at this journey, not from being perfect on a diet, but you really start to look at it as a series of transformational steps that you're taking, that just like the heroes in the movies, where each step along the way, it maybe doesn't happen overnight, but they they get a little more powerful, and they get a little more powerful, and they get a little more powerful with every step forward. And I call it the thin thinking brain. Like it's like flexing a muscle. Our thin thinking brain gets stronger, and it's stronger and stronger until that's who you are a thin thinker. And that old fat thinking, old habits, beliefs that kept you in that struggle, that part of the brain is dormant. And that, and slaying. So here's the thing about the critic and the rebel. You can't slay them, but you can learn to work with them, because that part of the brain, and really turn them way down. Like you can turn the volume way, way down, but we are human beings. We are going to always have our inner critic and rebel, but we are developing on our weight mastery journey, our inner coach. And our inner coach is, the longer we're on, like the more we use our inner coach, the louder that voice gets, the more empowered we become, the more self-forgiving, self-empathy, self-reinforcing. We can figure out this problem. We got this. We start to talk to ourselves differently. And again, if we reach that struggle point and we turn around and we try to be perfect, oh, well, I didn't do good today, I'm going to go back and be perfect, you lose that. You lose that ability to build that inner resource, that inner strength within you, to develop that inner structure within yourself, because diets, weight regimes are structures that you go on. But really, when we're shifting and we're on our weight mastery journey, we're creating the structure from within us, and you don't lose that. You don't ever lose that. You own that, and you get to keep it. So that when you get to your ideal weight, guess what? You own that. And that's what happened for me. That's what happened for many of my, students and clients, is like that when they get there and get to maintenance, which is a different journey, but they're not afraid, like, oh my God, I'm going to go all the way back up the scale. I mean, they might have some insecurity. I'm not saying it's perfect. There is insecurity, but they're like, but I got this. Like, I've got the tools, and they start to work that muscle of maintenance, and they're like, oh my God, I got this too. Like, this is actually going to work for me. But along the way, there will be boredom. Like, I don't think the weight loss industry tells you this, but, like, people get to places like, I'm bored, there must be something wrong with me. I'm like, no, welcome to a long-term permanent weight mastery journey. You will be bored sometimes, but there is something underneath that boredom that you will learn about, and you'll crack that boredom, and you'll get through it. And you will be stressed out. You'll have times in your life when you're stressed, and you might have to tread water or figure some stuff out for yourself, and you will get through it. And there will be plateaus. And guess what? You will get through your plateaus too, if you just keep going. And you'll get off track. And guess what? I invite you to get off track so that you can exercise that muscle of getting back on track, so it's so tight that the second you get off track, you're like, what do I do to get back on track? I get right back. And that, my friend, is the key to consistency. Not superhuman discipline, not starving yourself, not exercising like a maniac, but really finding a way of living your life on your terms, solving those struggle points, and developing yourself from the inside out, transforming yourself from the inside out. I think of my son. He's going to be 17 in 2 months, and he started playing piano when he was 5. And I think of him like, not even being able to put it, like, his hands were so small he couldn't even like reach some of the keys, and now he's playing Rachmaninoff, which requires your hands to be like so stretched out that because there's so many chords and notes that you have to hit, that your hands have to be really spread out. Like, so yeah, he's a young man now, and he has those hands, and he has that capability of playing, incredibly complicated music that, but I remember when he started out, and I remember so many struggle points where he wanted to quit. He wanted to just, oh, so many, too many, um, where, and in the beginning, either me or his father had to sit with him or us both and just say, you just take a breath and think about, this isn't just about playing the piano, but this is about mastery. This is about, like, life is full of these times where you don't wanna, but you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And then he would get to the other side of whatever that struggle point was, and he'd have a breakthrough in his playing or who he was as a player. And the beautiful thing is, and I'm going to cry because it's just so wonderful to see as a mom or, just as a fellow human being, is that he now does it for himself. He gets to those struggle points and he can talk himself through that. And that is what I want for you, that ability to really love yourself enough to sit with yourself and believe in yourself that you can get through those struggle points and solve them so that you own them and you get that breakthrough for you. So, and to slay those dragons and to come home to yourself, to your own inner village, or our community here I'd like to think of as a village or then thinking community. But, to have that transformation for yourself, because it really isn't just about weight. With the clients that I work with, like I said, clients, students, people in the community, people in my mastermind, it's not just about weight. People get transformed in their life because they really, coming home to yourself, really showing up for yourself, transforms every single part of your life, not just your weight. So you are the hero. So in the next couple of weeks, I am going to be interviewing some of the people I consider masters on their hero's journey, some of my students, and we are going to dive into how they are releasing weight and changing themselves from the inside out. So I look forward to sharing some of these weight mastery heroes with you. And if you're ready for a transformation, if you're at that point and you're feeling a little like the reluctant hero, I love teaching this masterclass. So come to the, masterclass. I want to inspire you. I want to motivate you. Obviously, I have a lot to say about this, but I really want to give you an internal structure that you can really, take those first few steps with and get out of the struggle and get moving on your journey. So go to the show notes. Sign up. It's called that, Stop the Start Over Tomorrow Weight Struggle Cycle and Start Releasing or Losing Weight for Good. And it's April 21st, like I said. Sign up. Seating is limited, so get on that list, and I will look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, have an amazing week, and remember that the key, and probably the only key, to unlocking the door of the weight struggle is inside you. So keep listening and find it. Thanks for listening to the Thin Thinking Podcast. Did that episode go by way too fast for you? If so, and you want to dive deeper into the mindset of long-term weight release, head on over to www.shiftweightmastery.com. That's www.shiftweightmastery.com, where you'll find numerous tools and resources to help you unlock your mind for permanent weight release, tips, strategies, and more. And be sure to check the show notes to learn more about my book, From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss, and to learn how to subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode.